Director at Media Monitoring Africa, joining us. William, thanks for your time. Sorry for keeping you. I had to get through that interview properly. What do you make of what's happening at the SABC? You heard the board chairperson saying they have no other option.
I mean, you do have to have a level of sympathy with that. I think that they've been told repeatedly, not just by the Treasury, it was part of their turnaround strategy, and that was suggested by Parliament. You've got to cut your wage bill. When they're saying that it's 43%, and you're completely correct. So much of this is historical bloating, for want of a better term. We know about the number of managers that were there to employees. I forget what that figure was. It was something pretty extraordinary, So you do have to do that. At the same time, you've got to say, well, the other big failure of the SABC historically has been that they failed to notice that everything is going digital. And it's only been since this recent board and the new management team that they've actually started to talk about digital and what that means. And eNCA knows this, that you have to restructure and redesign the entire way that you do everything. And that's not unique to the SABC, or in fact to the SABC as a public broadcaster. So you do have to say, well, there's got to be a major restructuring of the SABC. That means it's fit for purpose to exist in a world where they've got to compete with the likes of Netflix, etc., and meets an enormous public service mandate. And at the same time, you've got to say, well, how do you do that when your wage bill is that high? So they're kind of being told, you have to reduce your wage bill, but you can't reduce your wage bill. Now, that is an impossible situation for anyone. And, of course, all of us, by default, are immediately thinking, well, of course, you've got to find another way. But when you get to that point where it's like, there isn't another way. How else do we reduce this unless we do this? And as I understood it, they were talking about 200 or something people, and they then, one of the figures I read in the media was that they said there were 170 other positions that people could apply for, because we know that in as much as digital cuts jobs here, there's another need for jobs in other sectors. So part of it might be about getting people to apply for different positions, and you have to hope that that can happen. And obviously the kind of thing that we're seeing there is terrible, and it's traumatic, and it's what we don't want to see. But the critical thing for us is what matters most here actually isn't that of the employees and of management. It's the public interest. The public interest is that we have a functioning, independent, credible public broadcaster. And anything that then undermines that, that's what we have to be deeply concerned about.
Yeah, so what will this do with regards to the public broadcaster and journalism, given the reach that they have across the country?
Well, I mean, I think that in as much as we could understand the anger and emotion that was there yesterday, and certainly not suggesting that stuff shouldn't have been shown, I think that we have seen, unfortunately, on SABC, a significantly reduced ability to cover their own story in a manner that is balanced and fair and accurate. So I think that, for example, a range of other media have been able to do a more comprehensive job of covering it, precisely because they're not so deeply, intimately involved in what is going on. And so I think that would have done, some damage to their credibility. But what we have seen, and you pointed it out to the chair, is that we have seen a significant increase in the SABC's ability to report breaking, credible, accurate news over the last couple of years. So I think that they've done a lot of things that matter most to the public correct, which is making sure that people can rely on them for news that is accurate and fair. And what we have to make sure that happens now is that ability isn't compromised.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. There was Media Monitoring Africa Director William Bird.